Welcome back to Mind Pump TV. I'm your host, Danny Matranga, and today we're going to talk about getting started with squats. Now, you're probably here because you're struggling with your squats or you're looking to make some improvements, and that's fantastic because the squat is a fundamental movement that almost everybody should be doing in some capacity. But if you're struggling with the barbell back squat and don't know where to go, I want to show you some of the regressions I've had the most luck with working with my clients, and these will, with time and practice, get you closer to that perfect barbell back squat more quickly and with more confidence. So let's dive into it. All right, so the first regression we're gonna start with is the goblet squat. Now, the reasons I really like the goblet squat are many. The first of which is it starts with the load or the weight displaced in the front of the body, much like a front squat. Now, the reason this is awesome is it allows a novice lifter or somebody who's just squatting for the first time to sit back a little bit further on their heels to feel stable as they have a counterbalance in front of the body. This will better allow the hip to travel in the socket or the head of the femur in the acetabulum, allowing the lifter to stay more upright and practice good, proper squat mechanics. One of the problems a lot of lifters run into with the barbell back squat is it's hard to align the load on the top of the shoulders and the middle of the foot where you want it so you can be balanced and stable. So building some confidence with some front rack position regressions like the goblet squat is fantastic. So here's how you start. Very simply, get the dumbbell up in front of the body. I like to go with my hands under the dumbbell like so. Some people hold it this way, although I have found, at least in my experience, this seems to be universally the most popular. From here, I like to keep the dumbbell relatively close to the torso. If I keep it too far out in front, I'm gonna end up working my shoulders and my biceps quite a bit. So if you feel those muscles, you're better off pulling it in tight and making contact with the sternum or that little bone between your chest, right? So from here, unlocking the knees, setting the hips back, and allowing your body to travel down and up. Just practicing keeping as straight a back as possible. A little bit of external rotation, opening up the hips, and kind of accepting the dumbbell down. I often tell people to stop when the elbows make contact with the meat of the quadriceps. So just doing that a few times across the course of several weeks, working on your mechanics, progressively using a heavier dumbbell should not only get you comfortable squatting, should also build up some of the requisite core musculature you need to stabilize, your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings, your adductors, all the things that play a small role in making the squat look and feel good. All right, so the second regression I have for you guys, it's probably an extension of the goblet squat as it's slightly more advanced, is a barbell box squat. Now, we have an entire video that we dove into on the box squat, so please feel free to check that out for additional detail and tips. But the big thing with the box squat is this. It gives you the opportunity as a lifter to practice having the bar placed axially on top of the shoulders and working on lowering the weight under control. This is something that a lot of new lifters really struggle with. They unrack the bar and they drop into their squat like a wet noodle. They don't have any control. They're very flimsy and unstable. And the box squat represents an amazing opportunity to control the weight on the way down, have a finite endpoint, which of course would be the box or the bench, and it might not be the endpoint of your squat, but again, it gives you the opportunity to lower to a defined point, pause, stabilize, and explode out of that position, all while keeping the bar exactly where you want it and working on things like bracing your core, having the bar aligned with the midfoot, and exploding through the right stuff. So I'll show you that one really quickly. It's very simple. Most of you guys should have access to, at the very least, a bench. If you're working out from home and you don't have access to a barbell, perhaps you're just practicing these things at home, you should have a bench and at least a dumbbell, so you could do a goblet box squat. But very simply, you put the bar right where you want it. Maybe it's high bar, maybe it's down on the shoulders a little bit, low bar. I'll show you the high bar version, very simple. Assume your natural squat stance, hands around the bar. You can do this with weight. A lot of people can box squat more than they actually squat. Brace the core, set the hips back, Again, opening at the hips. Once you've made contact, driving up. Setting the hips back, driving up. Setting the hips back, driving up. Very easy. Now, traditionally, that's gonna be something you do out of a rack. So just roll your bench over to your squat rack, work on your box squats. Hopefully you're putting some weight on the bar so you get the additional benefit of acclimating to having the weight on your shoulders. Once you've got both of those lifts down, and you're probably doing some barbell squats in the meantime, addressing perhaps some mobility issues at the ankle, I found those to be very common, the hips, thoracic spine, you should be good to go with barbell back squatting in just a few weeks. But again, don't rush into this. If you're weightlifting for the right reasons, this is gonna be something you wanna do for a lifetime. So don't rush into it now and sacrifice or potentially jeopardize all the gains and progress you can make later. Take your time, make sure you're doing it right, and thanks again for watching Mind Pump TV.